Well, Durban attracts scores of visitors, of course, to its shores over this Easter weekend. Reporter Lethiwe Mdluli monitoring the situation on the roads and, of course, the big routes leading into KZN and the surrounding areas. Lethiwe joining me this afternoon to take a quick look at how we're looking for KZN near Durban. Hello, Lethiwe. So just give us a sense then. Someone from Joburg hasn't left yet. What kind of trouble are they running into? Are the roads clear this afternoon?
Well, honestly, Gareth, there's no traffic on the road. We started in the N3 towards the northern parts of KwaZulu-Natal. So anyone who's coming from Gauteng, the Free State and Mpumalanga, they'll find no traffic. We are now in Marian Hill. We've made it to Durban. And throughout our drive, which is about 3 hours, I can safely say that we found no traffic. And right now, I want to show you the activity on this toll plaza. Normally, around the Easter weekend, you'll see hundreds of cars, traffic basically stacked up, waiting for a lot of motorists to make their way into Durban. But this year we're seeing less and less people making their way into the province. Yesterday we were with the Department of Transport. The MEC did share that there's a lot of police officers on the ground because they were expecting a lot of people to make their way into the province. But we're seeing that not a lot of people came down. They've opted to stay in their respective provinces. But right now I'm actually joined by the spokesperson of transport here in KwaZulu-Natal, I want to bring him in. Maybe he can share a bit more information on what they've observed so far. Mr. Ngalane, thank you so much for joining us at eNCA. I mean, we're seeing less and less cars on the road, less accidents. I'm sure you're happy about that. But what have you observed over the past 2 days?
Well, we anticipated that yesterday was going to be a high mobility day. Obviously, we anticipated that there will be a lot of movements from various provinces to KwaZulu-Natal and people leaving the province of KwaZulu-Natal to other areas. Well, even though when you look at the trends, it's not similar to other years. The numbers seem to have gone down. The volumes of traffic have gone down. But we still remain firmly on the ground. We are monitoring the situation. We are not leaving anything to chance. Our enforcement deployment are quite heightened. We've intensified operations throughout. The Premier of the province, Lethiwe Mdluli, and the MEC for Transport, Safety and Liaison, Sipho Hlomoga, they have been all over the province up until yesterday afternoon, ensuring that we are enforcing the law, ensuring that there is interaction with motorists themselves. But we are also not losing sight of the fact that the traffic volumes are not high. Our strategy was going to say from today till Sunday, we are focusing mainly on residential areas, the exit and the entry points of the townships and villages, and that is where you are going to find us tonight. Throughout the night, 24-hour operations are going to be mounted, making sure that we deal with the issues of drinking and driving, but also elements of criminality in townships is quite high. During the awkward hours of the evening, people are stealing vehicles, criminals are terrorizing people. So we want to be proactive in dealing with all of that. And then Monday is also another anticipation for the high mobility day. We are going to be all over making sure that as people live in their respective destinations, back to work, back from areas where they were meeting for church reasons and so forth, we make sure that they are safe even when they are going back.
There are also areas that you've dubbed as hotspot areas. The MEC did share quite a bit yesterday, saying that Pietermaritzburg is one of them, also Durban is one of them. What are some of your concerns in these areas? I'm sure you have mentioned right now that there's a lot of crime in these areas, but in terms of the roads, what are you looking out for in terms of the hotspot areas?
Well, in terms of the deployment that we spoke about, remember we also launched last week an additional new fleet, about 18 vehicles that we launched, which are going to be deployed or which have been deployed throughout the province. So those have been deployed in those areas. At this stage, there is nothing that has happened. It seems like the strategy is going quite well. We also coming here emboldened by the fact that during the festive season, we managed to reduce crashes and fatalities by 12.7%. So we want to build from that trajectory. We want to sustain this downward trend, but also we are also tackling both violations on the road and criminality. That is why you see most of our operations, there is also South African Police Services, because drugs are transported using roads, illegal firearms are transported. In fact, even some of the dangerous hitmen, one of them was arrested here in Maranhill in an eNCA that was going to Cape Town, was arrested with an AK-47 going to commit murder. So that's what we are going to be doing moving forward. But also we know that in townships there's a proliferation of ship-ins and all these illegal taverns, and that is where most crimes happens during the awkward hours of the day. That is why the strategy of the police as well and of the entire justice, crime prevention and security cluster is to focus on those areas. We want to make sure that we reduce levels of crime. We want to make sure that we reduce levels of crashes and fatalities.
And lastly, Wanela, I know this is not what you specialize on, but what do you think is making people not want to travel? Because looking at the year 2019, that's where we first saw a drop. Of course, 2020, there was COVID-19, so people were not able to travel. 2021 was more or less the same thing, but we were hoping, or the government basically was hoping that they will see an increase in people visiting the province. What do you think is making people not want to come to the province?
Well, we still of a view that KwaZulu-Natal is a tourist destination area, especially the area of Durban. We are quite hopeful that there are a number of tourists that are coming in. Just that even travelers themselves, they've also changed their traveling patterns. People, they also are cognizant of the huge volumes of traffic and so forth. Therefore, others are able to leave early, a day before the major traffic starts and all of that. So there's quite a lot of education that has taken place. But equally, there's been a lot of impact, things such as COVID, the cost of living and so forth, where people have had to make certain adjustments. But we are open for business. The province is open for business, and we are quite hopeful that people will come, enjoy themselves peacefully, and ours is to make sure that they are safe and they must come enjoy. We also need to push that, because we also need to drive that revenue generation as the province and as the city of Durban, so that we are able to contribute to the GDP of the country and create more jobs.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, Gareth, so that is the spokesperson of transport here in KwaZulu-Natal, and just basically taking us through some of what they've observed over the past few days. The N3 toll concession is reporting that they are recording about 1,000 cars that are passing the Marian Hill Toll Plaza. This was between the hours of 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. They have been releasing statistics over an hourly basis, so we will be keeping an eye on that. And we are also hearing from the Department of Transport as well that there's been a decrease in the number of road accidents, and they are hoping that this will continue.
Yeah, certainly hoping it's going to continue as well. I see blue skies above you as well near Marian Hill, which is always a worrying area when there's rain and wet roads. So for the moment, the weather gods are on our side. Lethiwe, thank you very much. Important information for anyone, especially from Gauteng, the Free State, and up in Mpumalanga, planning to make the mad dash down to KZN, Durban, North Coast, South Coast, whatever it might be. You've got to get through that particular toll gate near Marian Hill. Weather is looking good for now. Traffic is low. Let's keep things nice and slow on the roads. Get you all back safely after a long weekend. Coming up.